Hi there. So I'm going to quickly talk about Marine Le Pen and how the French presidential elections are going. Since making my first video, there's been quite a few changes and big events that have shaped the way this election is heading. So quick side note, CNBC released an article where Aaron Kant, the Chief Executive and Chief Investment Officer of the Singapore investing firm Leone Hill Capital, says that the firm's artificial intelligence predicts a Marine Le Pen win. This system incorporates various inputs such as social media discussions, polling, economics, and demographics. It predicts that Marine Le Pen is going to walk all over the opponents in the first round, and it carries on to say that it will prove forecasters wrong in the second round and that Marine Le Pen will actually win. So from that, we also have Francois Fillon. He's been involved in a very big scandal involving his wife, where she's been paid hundreds of thousands of euros, supposedly working as a government aide, but a video came out where she was caught saying that she didn't work for him as an aide. So there's a lot of questions into what this money was being used for, or why it was given to her. And in fact, there's a police investigation going into it, and from that, he's really lost the second place sitting that he had in this election, and Emmanuel Macron has taken the place there of that. And he's running as an independent, so it's looking like the second round will be Marine Le Pen and Emmanuel Macron, and I'm sure the EU just love that. So let's take a quick look at Emmanuel Macron. He's a former investment banker. He was a member of the French Socialist Party from 2006 to 2009. He was the Secretary General for Francois Hollande in 2012, the Minister of Economy, Industry and Digital Affairs for Manuel Valls in 2014. He's running as a social liberal in his own party formed in April of 2016 called En Marche. And that just means to move forward, really. So he's trying to play this kind of centrist, multi-appeal sort of president. As I pointed out in my previous video, there's not the same divide among the French in terms of their views towards the European Union as there is in Britain between the left and the right, whereas in Britain there seems to be about 37 points, I think, difference between the chances of being a Eurosceptic on the right and being a Europhile on the left, whereas in France there's only 2 points of difference, so the left and the right aren't quite divided on the European Union issue like other countries would be. So I think he's kind of trying to appeal to Marine Le Pen's base too, trying to steal some of her right-wing leaning voters, and you'll see this as a carry-on. He claims that the party is transpartisan and that it's progressive to both the left and the right. He's pro-open borders, and he has said in the statement he's neither pro-European, Eurosceptic nor a federalist. And then in another statement he said that his party is the only pro-European political force in France. Wee bit contradictory there. He's also come under fire for statements that he's made on a trip to Algeria recently. Now, Algeria was ruled by France for about 132 years, and in 1962 they had a war for independence and they won that, and so Algeria is no longer under the control of France. And Emmanuel Macron went over to Algeria and started virtue signalling, basically, and this is where you start to see his liberal progressive qualities show. So he basically said that French colonialism was a crime against humanity, it was barbaric, and that the French people must apologise for it. And, you know, he rightly got called out, and that, as I say, it's virtue signalling, so it is. Marine Le Pen responded with, "Is there anything worse than when you want to become a president than going abroad to accuse the country you want to lead of a crime against humanity?" Brilliant opportunity to play up on that. Even Francois Fillon lambasted him too. He said, "This dislike of our history, this continual repentance, is unworthy of a candidate for the presidency of the Republic." And I agree with it. That was actually very well put by Francois. This just seems to be the thing, that we have to apologise for our history, and it just seems to be, all white countries have to do that. Maybe I'm just looking a wee bit too much into that, but it just feels like we have to apologise for everything we done in the past. But everyone else, they get a free pass. He was also invited by Theresa May to speak at Downing Street. This is an invitation that was not offered to Marine Le Pen. Theresa May said that she will not allow Marine Le Pen to come over to Downing Street and speak, which is interesting because Marine Le Pen has actually given Theresa May some high praise for the work that she's doing, even going as far as to say these are the types of policies I would want to run my country with. So it's kind of odd that Theresa May would snub Marine Le Pen, but she decided to invite over Emmanuel Macron, who insulted Britain with his speech, really. He basically said he wants to poach all the talent from Britain. He openly said banks, talents, researchers, academics, and so on. He wants them to cross the channel and join him in France. And he's towing the EU line, basically. As he said in his own words, he's there to protect and defend French and European interests. That's kind of funny coming from a man who's claiming to be transpartisan, but absolutely not. He is pro-EU as it gets. And this is why I say the EU are going to love this guy. And I think it's a bit funny that Fillon and Marine Le Pen were both sort of Eurosceptical in many ways. And it was looking for a long time like they were going to be the two nominees to head through to the second round. And then all of a sudden, there's all these scandals that come out about Francois Fillon and Marine Le Pen. She misspent EU funds and all this here and that. Eurosceptics actually look at that as a badge of honour rather than something to demeanour. But yeah, it was a very ill-advised idea of Theresa May to invite over Emmanuel Macron, and he's just really insulted Britain with this speech. So like I was saying, there's a few scandals that have come out, even with Marine Le Pen. One of them was the misuse or misspending of EU funds. But you know, she's not too worried about that, and I'm sure her Eurosceptic voters aren't too worried about that either. But a new one that's come out is that EU lawmakers vote to lift the Marine Le Pen's immunity over tweets. This is where she's shown tweets of Islamic violence, and they were very, very graphic, including beheadings and so on and so forth. And they pretty much, as it said, they overwhelmingly voted to lift her immunity, which means she could face a fine for posting these tweets, and she has actually had that happen to her before, but it doesn't seem to have much of an effect on her support. And of course, like I said, it's more a badge of honour, you know, for Eurosceptics that she's willing to stand up to the establishment. So it really, in a sense, it kind of works in their favour. But France is in a position now where about 67% of them, according to a poll done in Le Figaro, says that 67% of French people believe that their country is in decline, and 80% of them agree that the country's situation needs to improve with a leader who is ready to bring great change to the country, or as they phrase it, is ready to change the rules of the game. So France needs something very, very dramatic to happen in this election, and Marine Le Pen, let's face it, is very, very dramatic. So I think she stands a very good chance still, but we'll just have to see what becomes of things in the future.